Quick lessons from books. The Populist Guide to 2020, A New Right and a New Left Arising by Krystal and Saagar and Enjeti. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a populist. I don't agree with a lot of their points. I agree with some of it, but it's important to explore ideas different than my own. He who knows only his own case knows little of that. John Stuart Mill. So it seems that the managerial elite or the elite ruling class have made their decision. The fix is in, and it's going to be Joe Biden. Much to the chagrin of Bernie Sanders and Bernie Sanders supporters, this looks like the direction that we're going to go. So let's look at the Populist Guide and see what they have to say about Joe Biden. We'll start with Enjeti. He is your conservative populist and what his views are. First of all, Enjeti has problems with Biden claiming that he was successful and did a great job as vice president and touting his neoliberal policies. And Enjeti just looks at the facts. First of all, your neoliberal policies did not necessarily help the middle class. You were one who voted to take away bankruptcy protection from the middle class. And when the economic collapse happened in 2008, they did not have bankruptcy protection. That was on you. So when are you going to start protecting the middle class? You look at median total wealth from 2007 to 2016. The time that he was in the White House, median total wealth drops 63%. When are you going to help the middle class and not Wall Street? Average wealth of the bottom 40% in 2016. So the year he leaves office, the bottom 40% of this country, not only did they have $0 in the bank, they owed $8,900. 40% of the country. 40% of the country is not just broke, they're in debt. These are not good policies. Making matters worse is that the cost of living also went up. So not only are you poor, but it gets worse because everything costs more. Those are great policies. And then, as if it couldn't get any worse, and Enjeti points out, Biden was behind many of these terrible trade deals, this NAFTA deal and the normalizing trade with China, which sent American jobs overseas. Yeah, cool. We can get goods a lot cheaper now. But cheap goods don't matter when you do not have a job. If you have $0, then it doesn't matter if a TV is cheaper. You can't buy it. And Biden's response was to the men and women in the coal mines of West Virginia was to learn to code. Wow. And look, here's the deal. It's cheaper goods and services for the managerial elite, the ruling class, myself included. I'm as a teacher, I'm not going to lose a job because of shipping jobs overseas. You're not going to send a teaching job to China. You're not going to send a teaching job to Mexico. I'm completely protected. So I don't lose anything and I get all of the gains from this policy. This is not fair to the middle class. This is not fair to the working class. This benefits the licensed class. This benefits the upper middle class, the middle class, the degreed class. I get cheaper goods and I get cheaper services because when you fire all these industrial laborers, they have to then go into the service sector. And when you have an increase of supply of workers in the service sector, that drives the wages down. As the wages drop in the service sector, the services become cheaper. So this is great for me, but why should I benefit while the middle class suffers? Why should the managerial elite and the licensed upper class get benefits from these policies? And that's why you understand who supports Joe Biden and the moderate Democrats, the people who often have ties around their neck, who don't have to compete for jobs and aren't losing jobs overseas and get all the benefits of these neoliberal policies. Let's see what the Democrat, Krystal, has to say about Mr. Biden. So she just comes straight at him and says, look, here's the deal. He was behind bad trade deals, deregulation, forever wars, bank bailouts. He was wrong on every economic issue over the last 30 years. But the worst part of this is that he thinks he's been right. On the campaign trail, he talks about all these things as if it was the right decision. And it makes no sense whatsoever because if they were the right decisions, then America would be fine today. But in his own words, that democracy is in trouble and we've got to fight for the soul of America. Sounds like we're in a bad spot. Well, you know how we got to that bad spot? bad trade deals, deregulation, for according to Krystal Ball, forever wars, bank bailouts, and the economic policies. You are the one who did this. And if you bring you back, it's going to be the same thing. You're the one that created Trump. If it wasn't for your 8 years of terrible policy, according to Krystal Ball, this never would have happened. Trump would have never gotten elected. But you destroyed the middle class. You overlooked half of the country. And you just made everyone angry, and you pushed them to the point that we got a Trump. You're to blame for this. She questions the fact that he says that, oh, well, he's the one, he knows how the government works, and Biden's going to get bipartisan support and get deals done. She points out that you couldn't even get the Republicans to cut Social Security. They have been trying to cut Social Security for a decade. It's what they want to do. It's their plan, and you couldn't even get them to do their own plan. Sick burns by Krystal Ball. She also points out that just these gaffes. What is going on in his brain? Don't spend too much time trying to figure out. We choose truth over facts. I'm warning you. Don't think about what I just said. Don't try to understand it. Don't do it. You're doing it. You're trying to think, well, what he's trying to say is, what is it? What is he trying to say? What's he trying to say? Yeah, you don't know. No one knows. What is it? No one knows what this guy's saying. No one knows what's going on in this guy's brain. Is this the guy that you want to run the country? Poor kids are just as smart as white kids. This guy is a meme. He is a meme. We're going to go from one meme president to another meme president. Is this really what we should do? She also questions, how come Obama and Team Obama have not come out in support of you? You've been running for president for a year. Where's your BFF? Where's your best buddy? Where are those other people that were in the White House with you? Why aren't they campaigning? Why aren't they supporting you? Maybe you're not such good friends after all. Maybe you're not necessarily sharing a drink. Maybe it's more of one of these deals. Biden can win, she says, in 2020, but that's not her biggest fear. That she doesn't worry about, oh, can we get Trump out of office? She believes that Biden can take Trump out of office. But the consequences of a Biden presidency could be much worse. When Biden gets elected and he serves his 4 years, the first 8 years of Biden killed the middle class and helped the ruling elite class. What do you think the next 4 years are going to be? As we continue to normalize trade relations with China and hurt the working class, you're going to help upper middle class, the degreed, protected class get richer and protect their wealth while you continue to destroy the working class of this country and the industrial sector of this country. And after 4 years of this, what do you think is going to happen? She says we do not need, and I skipped past this, but 4 years of Biden, 4 more years of bad trade deals, deregulation, forever wars. We saw the first time when Biden was in the White House, he led to Trump. The second dose of Biden's bad ideas, we're going to get something even worse than Trump, she says. She argues that we do not need incrementalism in a time of radicalism, and she uses FDR to support her beliefs. As I said at the beginning of the video, I don't necessarily agree with all of the points that are made in this book, but this is definitely one I don't agree with, because if you look at the policies of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, you'll know that his New Deal policies did not help the country. They made it worse. They helped prolong the Depression. And you look at the writing of Rothbard, and you're going to see that almost every one of these FDR New Deal plans made the Depression worse and prolonged the Depression. Radical government intervention is not the answer, according to me. Now, Ball has her opinion and her beliefs, and she thinks that we do need radical government intervention to help with health care and wages, and that's her belief. But if you look at the Great Depression, you look at the New Deal policies that her beliefs line up with, they made the country worse. They didn't work. And of course, Ball's going to say, well, I'm not listening to Rothbard. He's a neoliberal. Anyone that doesn't necessarily believe that government is the answer is going to be a neoliberal, according to many populists. And of course, Enjeti's going to pile on there. Oh yeah, I get it, Enjeti. You're a populist too, and you think that government can solve many of these problems. And if anyone ever talks about the free market, you think that we're all just neoliberals, and you can label me that and like Rothbard and just completely dismiss us. It's fine. We'll agree to disagree. Populist Guide to 2020. A fascinating book to read if you're a Democrat. Obviously, a great book if you are a liberal or progressive populist, or if you're even a nationalist populist of the Steve Bannon ilk, you would be intrigued by this book. If you are a corporate Democrat, a moderate Democrat, you're probably not going to enjoy this book. You should explore the different ideas. This book is definitely pro-Sanders, pro-Andrew Yang, pro-Tulsi Gabbard, and then pretty much the rest of the Democrats are pretty much thrown under the bus. Republicans this may not be your book, but it is important to understand the ideas and policies behind a lot of these Democratic candidates during the primary season. Also, if you want to see behind the curtain, and this book is very, very, not necessarily persuasive, but is anti-corporate media. If you are tired of MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, and the agendas and narratives that they promote and the way that they treat some candidates and elevate some candidates over the others, then you'll be interested to read this book. It's pretty much kind of a summary of their show over the last year, taking some of the highlights, taking some of their better monologues and compiling them into essays and kind of following along over the last year of the primary season. I would recommend it for people who lean a little left. Maybe not necessarily. If you're kind of in the middle to the right, you would be interested. But if you're a hardcore conservative, you're not going to make it through this book. If you're a Bernie supporter, then you probably should already own this book.